Joining us now, Congressman, 9th District, Morgan Griffith. Congressman, great to have you.
Good to be with you.
Congressman, no COVID package. Pelosi again refusing to bargain with the Republicans. We're only only 400 billion apart. The Republicans offering 1.8 trillion, Pelosi 2.2. She wants to bail out Philadelphia and Chicago. You guys don't want to do it, so we get nothing. This is appalling for the American people because it's not like she wants 2.2 trillion and the Republicans want 100,000. I mean, we're 70, 80% of the way there. What is the deal? What is going on here?
It's all politics, John. You and I have talked about that before. The problem is she doesn't want the president having a win on coronavirus or on another package before the election so that American people will have to suffer because of Nancy Pelosi's decision that politics is more important than people. I think it's atrocious. I think it's awful. The problem is they can't run on the economy. They can't run on world peace. They can't run on the state of the military, all of which have been improved. Peace, economy, the military, all of which have been improved under the Trump administration. So the only thing that they really have to run on is if you don't like the dangerous orange man, or if you have some issues about coronavirus. And, polling data indicates that the coronavirus issue is number one for Democrats. To heck with peace, security, and the economy. We're going to worry about this issue, which is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but what I'm saying is we shouldn't be holding the American family hostage for Democrat Nancy Pelosi's political agenda.
It's really sick what she's doing because people are suffering out there and they need the relief, and especially these small businesses because that PPP money ran out a long time ago. And you guys have reformed the program where the money is really going to go to the small businesses, not, $500 million to the Los Angeles Lakers and the nonsense you went through the first time. But even I excuse that because the bill was put together lightning fast. It just had to get done. And a lot of people did get relief, although obviously it was abused. So she's not doing anything on that. Meantime, you've got a poll the other day. I just want to get your take on this. I'm kind of stunned by the numbers. So for COVID-19, this was a Rasmussen poll, and Scott was on the other day, kind of shocking. He said, in a poll done, 65%, that's 2 or 3, 65% of Republicans didn't care if they got the virus. Like they didn't have any fear of it, so to speak. 65% didn't care. Only 22% of Democrats didn't care if they got it. So it's the same virus. I mean, everything is the same. Nothing changes. I mean, and this cut across racial lines, economic lines. So if you're a Democrat, 78% are scared of it. And if you're a Republican, only 35% are scared of it. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think part of it has to do with, some of the rhetoric. I mean, look, it is a dangerous virus. I was talking with somebody yesterday and the day before yesterday, totally by accident, just somebody I met, who had a friend who was 51 who died from it. So it's serious, and I get it. Mm-hmm. And what was odd about that case and very, very sad was he got it when he went to visit his mother who had COVID, who obviously, late 70s or 80s, I didn't ask. She survived, the son did not. So there is a reason to be some fearful about it. That being said, the fatality rates, based on the number of people who are getting it, are not, at the levels that would require 78% or 90% of the people to be afraid of getting it. We need to be cautious. We need to be, taking proper steps while we're waiting on the vaccine, which, by the way, is, the fastest development of vaccines ever, and it's all being led by the Trump administration. And no credit. Instead, they want to discredit the vaccine. And, I've said this to any number of people we've been out talking. The president said we'd have a vaccine by the end of December. And this is what the media does and what the Democrats do. Then the CDC director came out there and said it won't be ready for wide distribution until, March, April. They're both right. We're going to have a vaccine probably by the end of the year, maybe a little sooner. and then we can start distributing it to the highest risk people. That will happen. It won't be available for those like me who already had a mild case. It won't be available for people who have no comorbidities probably till March or April. That's true. Take some time to ramp up the production. They're both right, but when that happened, the media said, oh, Trump lied, it's not true, blah, blah, blah. They were both correct. It was the way they said it. One said the vaccine will be developed and ready by the end of December. True. Mass production is a different story. So it's that kind of, scaring people into thinking there's not going to be any hope in the future. Treatment's already gotten a lot better. Not perfect, but a lot better, and the vaccine's on the way. And that's why I think most Republicans are calming down, because they're actually paying attention and not paying attention to just the headlines by the mainstream media, but paying attention to what the facts are and what the science says. Democrats are always telling us to follow the science. If they would follow the science on this, they would be concerned, but not panicked. And right now they're panicked.
I think this is going to have an impact, Congressman Griffith, on their Election Day turnout, because they have scared their voters into such a frenzy that they're afraid to go vote. They want to do mail-in ballots. Already in Virginia, we got 387 mail-in ballots requested, not returned. I expect that, obviously, that number is going to go down, but, there's probably going to end up with 200,000 ballots that were mailed out, not mailed back, or not mailed back on time. And then there's going to be some that have mistakes in them. So this is a real serious problem. They have scared their voters. They scared the wits out of them with the fake news. And now they're kind of stuck with it. You had the virus. My wife Ann had it. She was in bed a couple of days, fine now. But I got to tell you, if a vaccine came out, I wouldn't take it, because, why am I going to take a vaccine? I have no need to take it. If I get it, I'm 62, healthy male, big guy. I'll be fine in a day and a half. So even if it comes out, right, polls say now 40% of people aren't even going to take it. So what does that mean? If you get a vaccine and half the people don't take it, what does it do? What does it do?
Well, it means that, that those half are more likely to get it. Most will survive. And so between the vaccine and those who survived, we may have some herd immunity. We don't have enough testing on this yet. We don't have enough data yet. NIH, the National Institute of Health, is following that. They have a number of different studies going on. As you may know, I'm actually participating in one of the NIH studies on people who had mild cases, just so that we have better data going forward as to where we stand, and then we'll have to go from there. But the virus isn't going to go away, and they keep talking about they want to make it look like a Trump failure, but worldwide there's been an increase in cases, not just in the United States. Mm-hmm. We don't really know why that is. We don't fully understand why that is, but we know it is. And we know that that's just one of the things that we're having to deal with this particular new virus that did, in fact, come out of China. And whether or not they had a role to play in its development or its spread, we don't know. But we know that's where it started, and trying to figure all that out. And you can't really trust the Chinese, so we're going to have to get data on our own.
John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth Across America, 6 days before election. We're with Congressman Morgan Griffith, Republican from the 9th District of Virginia, that's Southwest Virginia. Huge district from Roanoke all the way through Radford and all the way to Bristol, the end of the state. Congressman, you're in red, rural Trump country. You have no Democratic candidate on the ballot except for a write-in candidate. You still travel around the district. That's your style. What are people saying? Do they feel good about Tuesday? Do you see an uptick in enthusiasm from 2016? Tell me what you're saying, sir.
Well, enthusiasm is high. There's more discussion this year than there was in 16. People are voting in large numbers. Most of the people are choosing not to vote by mail-in, but in-person voting. That seems to be a more people feel more comfortable with that than mail-in. They don't have to worry about somebody intercepting their vote. They get it cast right there at the registrar's office. We've seen a lot of that in the district, and most of that is going to be Republican. It's not, a lot of folks want to say that the early voting is predominantly Democrat. That's not true in the 9th. I'm not sure that's true anywhere in Virginia. So it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, the enthusiasm is high. People are getting out to vote. Some are waiting for Election Day. Some are going ahead and getting it done early so they don't have to deal with it on Election Day. I will be traveling the district on Election Day, going to various polling precincts. The number of people there will be down because at least a third, even in the 9th district, which is one of the lowest in the state, a third have probably already voted.
So are you seeing a big rural Trump turnout in the 9th? You had a lot of precincts in 2016 where Trump was getting 90% of the vote, 88, 90%.
Yeah, I think he got around 68% district wide.
Right.
We are going to see a big vote, and I will tell you, there are a lot of people who are telling me stories anecdotally that their cousin never has voted before, but is going to vote because they're concerned about the Democrats' shift to the socialist left and the Second Amendment. They're very concerned in my district about the Second Amendment infringements, which they see coming, just as they see it coming from the Virginia legislature. You've already got Senator Warner's already introduced a Virginia version in the federal government, in the Senate, and they're concerned about that. So I think you'll see a big vote for Trump, and I think you'll see Gate carry the 9th district as well.
John Fredericks Radio Network with Morgan Griffith. Congressman, the Hunter Biden laptop from hell. Last night on Tucker Carlson on Fox News, Tony Bobulinski kind of outlined his experience here with Joe Biden, Jim Biden, Hunter Biden. But the fake news has refused to run this or pick it up. It's a coordinated effort. I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with this. And I thought the Bobulinski testimony yesterday was just, it almost fell off my chair because I had read it, heard about it, saw his press conference. But then when he sat down, he started outlining this, and he's got, text and emails or whatever. Do you think this is going to have any impact at all on Tuesday?
Well, most of the people who are anti-Trump don't care. They hate Trump. That's the problem we've got. We've got Trump derangement syndrome. Then you've got a handful of people in the middle who may make a difference. Some may stay home because of it, and some may go in, and even though they're not 100% happy with Trump, they may vote for the Libertarian, or they may vote for Trump himself. But I do think it'll have a marginal impact in Virginia. That may not make a difference. We'll see. But I do think it can make a difference in places like Pennsylvania and battleground areas. If it just has some people going, I just don't know. Problem is, the media won't cover it. They are not even-handed, and it's fine if they want to be the Democrat National Committee talking piece. That's their business, but just tell the American people that's what you're doing. And then, I am very disturbed about it. But even before this came out, I was disturbed about it because, at the very least, no matter what the left said, there was an ethics violation. In the sense, if you were a lawyer, if Joe Biden were a lawyer and he was representing a client, and he had that issue with Ukraine, he would have lost his license for improper behavior because he was connected to it because his son was involved. Now you get to the situation where the son, has set up meetings that he denied. So now we have, a clear misstatement. I don't know whether it was a lie or whether he just doesn't have the ability to remember that he had a meeting with Burisma. But whichever it is, it's not good. And then there's this whole allegation about Joe Biden receiving a piece of the cut. Now, the evidence on that, you've got to believe this one guy, and you can use circumstantial evidence to say that he was the big guy, but you've got to go there. But this is, if he's getting a piece of the pie, and if a jury were to believe that, that's criminal conduct, and that's a serious concern for the American people. This may all be part of the Democrat game plan, though. People have said all along that they really wanted the vice presidential candidate to be in. Maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe they, wait till after the election, and if Biden wins, then they jump on this and say, oh, he's got to go, and he has to resign right after he's sworn in.
That is, you're the first serious person that I've heard say that maybe this is their whole plan. They knew about it, let it go, then he gets in, and then they let these leak, and then that's the end of him. He's got to resign, and then you've got President Kamala Harris, right?
Right. And then if they have the Senate and the House, they get to appoint the new vice president, whoever they want.
Yeah, then they can. Yeah, that's exactly it, because then they'll have all the power to do that. Unbelievable. Congressman Morgan Griffith with us. So let me ask you this. I guess one of the things that have really bothered a lot of people is the fact that the FBI sat on this for a year. And had the New York Post not got the leak and run the story, we'd have never heard about it. So how does the FBI get this for a year and Christopher Wray just sit on it? And why hasn't he been asked why? I mean, the FBI has not been asked, why did you sit on it? And then when you try to ask him, they're like, well, it's an ongoing investigation. Well, should just go on in perpetuity? Why did you sit on this for a year? Does that not bother you?
It does bother me, and a group of us from the Freedom Caucus sent a letter. We have not yet received a response asking many of those questions, and I suspect no matter what happens in the election, the day after the election, this administration, which is still in office for months, will be asking those questions as well. If they lose, they've got months to do it. If they win, then I think you'll see heads roll, as they ought to, and investigations started as to why this information was not brought forward. An ongoing investigation is one thing. I get that. But they needed to put this thing to rest, and it was a huge part of the Democrats' impeachment of the president. This was direct evidence showing, why the president removed people. And I thought I didn't think he needed any reason to remove people, just based on the poor performance and some of the testimony that I was able to read after the fact, because they kept us out of the room during the meeting, a lot of the meetings, but read the transcripts afterwards. And, I think it was pretty clear that the ambassador to Ukraine was not doing a good job, was frankly incompetent. I would love to discuss that again. I don't know if we have time, but, well, here's the short version.
Yeah, go ahead. We have time.
She was complaining that Rudy Giuliani got in and was able to meet with people she wasn't able to meet with.
Right.
Well, what kind of an ambassador are you if you don't know that Rudy Giuliani's coming in, and you don't know until after the fact that he's met with people, and you have tried to meet with those people and you haven't been able to meet with them? What does that say about you being an ambassador? It says you're doing a pretty poor job.
Yep.
That's what it said to me. I'm like, and this is what she's saying. Oh, I was very disturbed. All this was happening around me. But she never picked up the phone and called those people. She had aides doing it. Well, you and I both know this happens sometimes in Congress. I'll start calling people, or my team will start calling people in the administration. They may not get an answer back right away. If I'm really hot on it and I got to get it done quickly, I pick up the phone and ask for a meeting.
Right.
Voila. Things start to happen. And sometimes I still don't get the answer I want. Mm-hmm. But by golly, I get a return call. Mm-hmm. And she was complaining she couldn't get this meeting set up. Well, it tells me she was ineffective and didn't know how to do her job.
And
I'd have fired her too. I didn't need any of the charisma stuff to fire her. I needed that.
Right.
She couldn't do her job.
Right. She was not.
But the Democrats made a big deal out of this fake charisma stuff, and turns out it was real. Yeah. And I think the FBI had some obligation in the middle of an impeachment hearing to come forward and, at least in what should have been a secure setting, told the House intel and told the Senate the information they had. They would have shut that thing down so fast, your head would have been spinning.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. It's perplexing, and I would like to have answers.
Well, they want to keep you in the minority, so you can't demand the answers. I mean, that's basically what their game plan is. But I think you're spot on with that, and also with the Joe Biden and this laptop. The Democrats' plan is, I think, get him inaugurated, wait a couple months, let this leak out. He's got to resign. Kamala Harris is the VP, and then she can decide who she's the president. Then she can decide who the VP is in conjunction with Chuck Schumer and Nancy, and then they got their dream team in there. John Fredericks, thank you, Congressman Morgan Griffith, for being with us. We'll have you on Tuesday, Election Day, from the district on your cell phone as you're driving around. I'll see you then. John Fredericks Radio Network.